Okay, we are back from that little short break because we had to go back to the Gauteng High Court where I will tell you guys in the next video what transpired. But let's continue where we left off. So basically, as I was saying, that Mr. Baloyi started making his submissions as to why the witness needs to be on the stand to testify on the red Polo. The AVL is going to give a clear indication of the movement of this particular vehicle on the 26th of October 2014 or thereafter. Anyways, so basically where I stopped was point number 4, where he says, where he was reading the record, that the eyewitnesses, they mentioned that Longwe Twala was driving a red Polo. And then he went on to say that Mr. Mgomezulu indicated to Mr. Mangena that Longwe Twala shot himself in the ankle, and then he went to Dr. Modise to have the bullet removed because his wound was becoming septic. And then he says that Longwe's leg became septic, bullet removed by Dr. Modise. The AVL can assist the court in ascertaining the movement of Longwe on that particular day. This is a pie in the sky that the defense is trying to say that they are going to oppose this when Mr. Mgomezulu was the one that intended to oppose the calling of the witness. This is not hearsay evidence, as the defense said it's going to be when this particular witness takes the stand. The AVL will show the movement of the Polo if it drove to a clinic to remove the bullet. Then he says that the AVL, it kind of like draws parallel to the cell phone records because they are also not hearsay or hearsay evidence. The tracking device was installed in the Polo, and the witness is now here to testify with the period that relates. The witnesses testified about a red Polo on the day of incident. All relevant evidence are admissible. Basically, now he is I don't know if he's reminding the court or it's part of the court procedure. And then he quotes a provision in the Criminal Procedure Act, and also quotes a law author. I didn't catch the name of the author. And then he says this is in the interest of justice to allow this evidence of the AVL to be tested. And then he quotes R versus Hapworth, that button, the manipulation button I always talked about. And then he also quotes S versus Shane. This particular case was about general rights to a fair trial on applicant, meaning on the state. And then he go on to say fairness is not a one-way street. Fairness must also be afforded to the state. So basically, he is taking from Judge Rata's hijacking of Section 35 about a fair trial must be afforded to the accused. And then he goes on to also quote a multi-choice case, and also another that was, I think, the judge that was sitting there in the Supreme Court of Appeal was J. Mlambo. I'm not quite sure if he's talking about the JP. I don't know if he ever sat in the Supreme Court of Appeal, but okay. Then he says, once again, it's about affording fairness of trial for the state as well. And then he quoted another authority, Bazunguza case. Fair trial is a comprehensive right, justice to be done and must be seen to be done. And then he continues with another authority. Basically, he's persuading the court here to admit this witness. Basically, the last one is S versus Dlamini, and the judge there was Justice Krichler. And he's therefore say once again is still on fairness, and he therefore submit that this witness be admitted to testify on the red Polo AVL. Then my question is, okay, I already asked this question earlier. You shoot yourself in the foot. You know you just deleted somebody, and of course the first person you're going to call is a parent. It doesn't matter how old you are. And if your parent, of course, loves you like how Longwe is dearly loved by his father, allegedly, who knows what he advised him to do. And I think the AVL is going to show that the Polo left Fosloras and went to his place where he lived before. I think it's Fourways, if I'm... No, not Fourways. South of Joburg. what's that place called again? The one by the mall, the Glen. Yeah. I think that's where they lived once upon a time. Then, of course, Judge Rata says, defense, do you need more time to go through this application that had just been made by the state? The defense, basically, almost all of them decided that they are going to respond right away, except for Advocate Mshololo, who said, well, she will need more time and she will be able to prepare her response to the heads of argument or her own heads of argument overnight and then submit it tomorrow morning. The judge, as he had offered earlier, that he doesn't mind postponing until tomorrow morning. So because Advocate Mshololo said she wants to also prepare her own arguments, therefore she decided that and then that's when, I'm sorry, I got distracted. And therefore, judge said, no, we will return tomorrow. Then he wanted to know about Gininda. Remember, Gininda is the one that's supposed to be on the stand, basically telling the court whether he'll be able or unable to testify while he's writing his final exams. You should hear the argument in the second part of this video. It was so interesting. And I was like, yes, this is the same thing I was asking. You are studying part-time. And when you're studying part-time, you're also working full-time. At some point, you knew you were going to write the examination towards the end of the year, like how it's usually done in South Africa. And knowing so, why did you tell the state that, guys, can I come first and be a witness around, let's say, July, so that he can prepare for his final exams in November? I think all of this is still part of the cookerization. That's my thinking. And they were strategic and say, oh, no. By the way, your final exam is in November, right? Yeah, don't worry. We're going to get more time because when we postpone and you're finishing on the 24th of November, of course, that is almost the last day or the last week of the current term. So that means you are not going to be finished on time to testify because we know Gininda, when he's on the stand, it can go on for a month. So obviously this case is going to be postponed until February 2025. And then we have more time to do some cookerization. Just like right now, I heard yesterday, Mr. Mgome Zulu basically asking if the state has more witnesses because in their hand, they have new evidence that was submitted to them, which is quite interesting. So clearly, come 2025 February, when the second term begins, there's going to be new evidence and more submissions, and this case will just keep going on and on and on. Anyways, let's conclude this part. So then Judge Rata then said, okay, let's get Gininda on the stand so that we can hear his situation, what's up with that. Baloyi then asked that he be given 15 minutes so that they can get hold of Mr. Gininda. And then in part 2 of this video, I'm going to let you know what was the response that came from Gininda and exposes as well on the lies or the liar allegedly that Advocate Baloyi is, because even the judge himself. No, let me not spoil it. Let's leave it right here. Please do not leave this video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing if you like this family, because we are going to break it down as you may want to hear what's happening at the North Gauteng High Court. Thank you all so much for the super thanks. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bless you. And let's see each other in my next video, which is part 2. Goodbye.